I'm John.
So today we're actually filming from a conference we're attending and presenting at, so that's why it's such a formal setting here.
We're fancy.
We're fancy. But during our lunch break, we decided to hop on and talk to you guys a little bit about how we engage with parents and families as co-teachers, because obviously we all know engaging with parents and families and making it a collaborative effort is really important. And so we're just going to talk about a couple ways that we do that.
Yeah, so the first thing is you can get started with this at the beginning of the school year, and honestly that's the right time to get started, is having the first time that parents and students walk into your classrooms, they should be meeting both co-teachers at the same time. You should set the expectation that this classroom, this year, their child is going to be taught by two teachers, and it will be a co-taught experience throughout the entire school year. And use that time to troubleshoot with parents, talk with them, talk about what it's going to be like, the benefits of being in a co-taught classroom, and go ahead and have an honest conversation with the parents of why their child was picked and are being placed in a co-taught classroom.
Because they are going to have questions.
Yes.
Actually, we had a ton of parents when we first started who didn't even know what co-teaching was. They had no idea why there were two teachers. They had so many questions. So we actually, our second year, we ended up making a PowerPoint, remember?
Yes.
Just a quick one to explain like what is co-teaching and how is it going to benefit your child.
Yeah, and just make sure that you have those materials ready to go. And the reality is not all parents can come to those types of meetings, so make sure that we've posted it on our website before of our welcome letters, the meet the teacher letters that we send home. Have something like that ready to go. Just again, set that expectation at the beginning of the year that their child has two teachers.
And we make it clear that they can contact either of us at any time for anything that they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
The next thing is Class Dojo. So we utilize Class Dojo for everything. We use it in the classroom for behavior. We use it to communicate with parents about whatever we need to communicate with them about via like mass messages. And then we also communicate individually with different parents just based on different needs. But the great thing about Class Dojo is that it actually translates for the parents in a number of languages. So even if they're not just Spanish speaking, there's 40-something languages.
I think. I'm not sure exactly.
That they can translate into. So you send the message in English and you can see where it says this parent translated the message so you know that they've seen it. So we use it for that.
And it's great, even I just thought of this, it's great too. It's kind of like if you use Seesaw or something like that, you could actually take the PowerPoint or whatever it was, your welcome letter, and send it through Dojo to the parents who weren't able to attend your Meet the Teacher Night.
And they also have a portfolio feature on there, kind of like Seesaw, but a smaller scale. So you can have the kids take pictures of things or do real quick exit tickets on Class Dojo. So then the parents know what you're teaching in class, which is also awesome.
And I get messages from parents all the time in the evenings and stuff where I then have to I'll then text Ashley and say, hey, so-and-so's parent said this, like I was going to respond with this, are you cool with that? Just to make sure that we still know what's being communicated and that we're on the same page, even though it was a direct message to me or a direct message to her.
Because once the parents connect their account, they're connected to me and Allison and John and Allison in that class as well. So they can message anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So that kind of brings me into my next point of that throughout the year, you really should be communicating with your parents, not just about negative calls home, but positive things that are happening in the classroom. And those portfolios are a great way for you to brag on your students and have them show what they've learned. But really take the time yourself and your co-teacher to make those phone calls home and share what you both have noticed the student doing in class. There was one girl in our class this year who kind of struggled a lot at the beginning of the year, so we really made it a point this quarter to recognize our school actually has a form where you give them a positive referral, and administration will do that phone call home, but that also can be done by you as the co-teacher. And I think it had a massive impact on her, and she really did well the rest of the quarter.
And we did it together too. When the students went to specials, we kept the student back who had received the positive referral, and we actually called together to talk about the great things we were seeing and how proud we were. And that also will contribute to your parity, right? Because the parents then see if you're on Dojo together, they can message either of you, and anytime you communicate at home, it's both of you, then they see that, oh my gosh, these two teachers are really equals.
Yeah, and even use Dojo to say, if you know that parent doesn't speak English, use Dojo to type out a message from the two of you and let Dojo translate it for you, or find someone in your building or interpretive service that you can use to go ahead and send that message home. Again, just communicate, share all of the positive things. So if a negative thing does happen, they're more willing to work with you in the future.
Right. And that kind of brings us to co-conferences. So once it's time for those parent-teacher conferences, what we like to do is we pull each student's folder of work that we've collected, and their grades and their scores on assessments, and then we fill out a sheet about what we're going to talk to the parents about, so that we have a plan going into our conferences. And Allison attends every conference that John and I both have. So I know that she is able to talk to the parents about anything that she has in her mind, and I'm able to discuss it, and sometimes she brings up points that I don't even think to bring up, and it's just good to have that double communication going, and the parents usually receive that well, because they feel like they have two people buying into their education, which I think is
And we have
excellent.
Kind of like a system we use, right, where we sit down together, and how we kind of dissect like the student's performance, the student's behavior. We talk about all that first before we go in front of the parent together, so that we know we're on the same page and things like that. And that co-conference packet is a free resource that we shared with you guys. It's on our website, so feel free to grab that and adjust it to your needs. And that leads us to our last idea for co-communication between home and school, and that is home visits. So we're going to be really honest with this one and say that this is something that we have on our to-do list. So it is not something we've done yet. I've done home visits in the past for other reasons, not just to get to know.
We did do one, but it wasn't technically for one of our co-taught students. It was a different situation at the time. But
yeah, we actually went together to one of our students' houses for a fundraiser one time to support that family, and that was really great.
That really was cool. That was a couple years ago. The student is now in 5th grade, and still almost every day he comes up to at least one of the two of us.
He's a great kid. So that was a really good way to really get to know that family in more of an intimate way. And we actually, the mom cooked for us and everything like that. It was really great. But, we know that time is limited, and that's really difficult. Some schools I do know require home visits. Ours does not, but it is something that we know is a way to make a really strong connection with families and really get to see what the day-to-day is like for our kids at home. And
I think one of the biggest caveats, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but is that a lot of teachers are worried about going on a home visit. They're nervous because it puts them out of their comfort zone. As teachers, we're so comfortable in our classrooms, to step out of the school and step into their students' lives is really worrying. But going with your co-teacher, you have someone with you. You have the safety, the comfort that it's the two of you going together. So
we're blessed to have Allison's translating skills.
Yes.
They're not perfect, but it's a really great thing to talk about with your co-teacher, maybe to think about doing together, maybe if you need to split them up. But I mean, for us, we would definitely go together because it builds more, again, it shows your parity, it shows that there are two teachers and we do everything together. But we challenge you, if that's something where you feel like, I really want to see what's really going on at home or anything like that, is to do home visits. And it's definitely something that we're going to do in the future. We just, time, and so it's difficult, but it is a great idea. You could do them more in the summertime if you're a traditional school, or like on a track out if you're year round, or at the beginning of the school year when you have like work days and things. We know our principal is very supportive in saying, you know what, yes, it's a work day, home visits count as work, so you may use that time to go on home visits.
And I have heard from experience that starting small, starting with 1 or 2 families, and let those students share with their classmates how cool it was, how interesting it was to have their teacher show up at home. And pretty quickly from there, other teachers who have done it have shared that the rest of the class immediately starts inviting, when are you going to come over? When are you going to come over?
Yeah, are you coming to my house next?
Yeah.
So that's great. And just make sure if you're going to do home visits that you do connect with the parents first. Don't just show up. I feel like that's a bad idea. It's also just like rude.
Yes.
But connect them. Let them know it's not to judge, right? It's it's to make connections. That's what it's about. And it's about getting to know each other. So if you do those, let us know how they go. But that's really all we had, just those 5 things. So I'll go through them really quickly again of how to make ideas to make co-connections with families. Meet the teacher night. Both of you should meet the parents and be there if you can and talk about what co-teaching means and all that. Class Dojo, great communication app, and positive calls home together. Co-conferences together, and then co-home visits, I guess we could call it, to visit the homes of your students together. So if you have any other ideas, we'd love to hear them. We're always looking for ways to connect with our families. And it's actually, it's not an easy thing all the time. No. So if you have ideas, please let us know. We'd love to hear how you and your co-teacher handle it. So we hope this was helpful. And